Andrea Sneiderman is going to spend tonight and many more nights in prison. A judge sentenced her today to 5 years, minus about a year for time served on house arrest for perjury and other charges. That's what she was convicted of. Now, prosecutors say that she lied on the stand to police investigating her husband's murder. Rusty Sneiderman's family released a statement today thanking the jury and the prosecutor and saying that they're going to move forward with their civil suits. So the question now, was her sentence severe enough? Well, we're happy to have with us tonight prosecutor in the Sneiderman case, DeKalb County District Attorney Robert James. Good to talk to you tonight.
Good to talk to you, too.
All right. Now, let's talk about the sentence first.
Sure.
We heard you get up there and say you wanted 20 years. She ends up getting 5. I want to get your reaction to the sentence today.
Well, you know, obviously we wanted more time because we asked for more time. Obviously, it's a disappointment to our office and to the family, but you have to keep these things in perspective. Our job is to prosecute, not to sentence. It's the judge's job to sentence. And we don't second guess or criticize any judge, even this one, when he makes a decision to do something that we don't agree with. It's our criminal justice system. It's the way it works.
Were you surprised by it?
A little surprised, yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Now, talk to me about the murder case, because previously this was a murder case, and you got 2 grand juries to agree with you that this should be charged as a murder case, yet at the 11th hour, the murder charges were dropped. Now that this is all over, can you tell us why those charges were dropped?
I can give you a little detail. I don't, out of respect to certain people, I won't go into gross detail or very fine detail about why we dropped the charges. Suffice it to say, there was new information that came out, which caused us to look back at some old information and look at it with a different eye.
And this was new information that came in very late, I assume.
Well, it came in very late. In Georgia, the way the discovery rules work, and discovery meaning I give the defense everything I have, and if they opt into what we call reciprocal discovery, they have to give me what they have.
Right.
The rule is they have up to 5 days before trial. The judge set a discovery schedule where they had until the 15th of July.
But you can't tell us what this information is.
Well, I'm not going to go into detail about it. I can't tell you, but I can tell you that there were some things in there that cast some doubt in my mind about the validity of some of the things that we had in our file or some of the beliefs that we had. So I went back and I re-interviewed witnesses specifically as it pertained to the murder counts. And we had questions. And what I can tell you is that the information was not so strong that it was a bombshell where it blew up our murder case. But there were some things in that information, quite frankly, from what the defense gave me and also from what we went back and looked at ourselves that made me question whether or not she was guilty of murder. Ethically, if I have questions or doubts about whether or not someone is guilty, it doesn't matter if I can put up a good case. I shouldn't put up a case.
Okay.
And that's why we backed off from the murder trial.
So it's the good faith part of this. But let me ask you this. As you look at this case now, you see her in sentencing. You see her now guilty on 9 of the 13 charges. Do you think she was involved in killing Rusty Sneiderman?
I don't know. If I thought that with certainty, where I could say it in front of millions of people like I am right now, then we would have had a murder trial. But the answer is I don't know, and that's why we didn't try a murder case. If I'm trying someone for murder or shoplifting, I know they did it in my heart. Whether I can win or not, that's a separate question, separate issue, but I know to a moral certainty that they did what I've charged them with and what I'm asking the jury to find them guilty for.
Is there a chance here that you try to bring back the murder charges?
At this point, that's not a consideration. I say at this point because, you know, with murder cases, there's no statute of limitations. You know, I don't know if something could come up a year from now.
So if there's new information, you just may?
If there's new information, it's always a possibility. But as I sit here right now next to you, I don't think so.
Okay. Now, a lot of times in cases like this, the prosecutors will speak to the victim's family often. There's a connection between the two of you. Have you spoken to them since the sentence came down? And if so, what did they say?
Yes, we spoke right after. They're disappointed. Obviously, they wanted more time. But again, what I explained to them is what I've said to you. Our job is to prosecute a case. It's the court's job to pass sentence. Sometimes they do things that we agree with. Sometimes they do things that we disagree with. I believe Judge Adams is a fine judge. I consider him to be a mentor, and I've always felt like he was a fine judge, and I still believe he's a fine judge. And me agreeing with something that he does, you know, or not, doesn't affect